So a question comes up that probably most people in our community, I don't think are that really concerned about, but Sha'ban is a month that lies between Rajab and Ramadan, whose virtues people are heedless. In this month the servants' deeds are taken up to Lord of the worlds, so I wish to have my deeds. I wish to be fasting when they're raised up. So I mentioned that. But then we have another hadith that's in Bukhari that says, do not precede the month of Ramadan by fasting 1 or 2 days unless it coincides with a fast one does so regularly. And we have another hadith that's authentic where the Prophet ﷺ said, if the middle of Sha'ban comes, i.e. from the 15th, فَلَا تَصُومُوا حَتَّى يَكُونَ Ramadan. Don't fast until Ramadan comes. And so people get confused about this. They think, well, is it forbidden to fast? Some of the Shafi'i scholars, they took that position that it's makruh, it's disliked to fast in the last 15 days of Sha'ban. But most of the scholars, what they explain, how they explain this is, the Prophet ﷺ is addressing people who are of a weak disposition, that if they were to exert themselves in the last 15 days of fasting, it would weaken them going into Ramadan. There's another reason, which is more relates to this hadith, do not precede the month of Ramadan by fasting 1 or 2 days unless it coincides with a fast one does so regularly, i.e. what people used to do, they used to fast the last 2 days of Sha'ban out of precaution that maybe it could be Ramadan, and that's disliked, heavily disliked for 2 reasons. One, we don't like that sort of precaution where you are fasting just in case. Okay, because with a fast, you have to be certain. If your intention to count, you have to have certainty, and so you can't just fast just in case. It's not a resolute intention. Does that make sense? To have like some people do this. If I wake up for sihri, I'm going to fast. Yeah, and then when they wake up, they miss sihri or they miss fajr, suhoor, and they say, well, I'm not fasting now. Or they decide with that's not a resolute intention. So if I wake up then I will fast. No, you've got to say, I am going to fast the next day, and then you have that resolution. So that's important. Then the Prophet ﷺ says in this hadith, but it's permissible to fast if it coincides with a fast you usually do. So if it falls on a Monday or a Thursday, that day just before Ramadan, it's permissible for you to fast that because you're not fasting out of veneration that it could be the month of Ramadan. You're simply fasting because that's usually fast Mondays and usually first Thursdays. I generally, this is my own personal practice, is that I don't fast in those few days coming up to Ramadan, just to give myself a little bit of treats and get myself ready. So I fast a few days beforehand, but when the last 2 days come, even if it falls on one of the days I fast, i.e. Monday or Thursday, I won't fast. Just so that I lead in fresh into the month of Ramadan. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Any questions? Is that clear for everybody? Okay, let me.
Somebody doesn't wake up fast.
Yes.
Can they not keep the fast
Okay,
then?
that's a common question. It's Sa'd, did you say? Yeah. So Sa'd says, this is a common one in our community. I've got a friend that did this. I call him a mujdoob. He's a bit of a mad guy, like he's a bit off-centre. And he phones me every Ramadan. He actually last year, he didn't, so he's improving. But the 2 years before that, he'd phone me and say, Sheikh, Sheikh Sahib. I said, what? And he went, I've done it. What's happened? He said, I woke up and I missed sihri, so I can't fast without sihri, so I had a bowl of cereal. Yeah. And I said, you can't do that, But what? You've got to have sihri. Some people think that having suhoor, having sihri, is a prerequisite to fasting. And so basically he has to do kafara on that, expiation, because he's eating once fasting started without a valid excuse. And I educated him twice on it as well. He did it the next year as well. The principle is that suhoor is a sunnah. And it's not a requirement, and you are still obliged to fast regardless of whether you get up. So say you woke up and even if you missed Fajr, if you made a resolute intention to fast that day, which you should be because it's the month of Ramadan, then you have to fast it. Does that answer your question?
But the intention, the niyyah.
Yes.
This is an integral part of the fasting.
What's an integral part of the fast?
The niyyah, the intention.
Yes.
So if they, suppose
Yeah.
Can they make it
So if they've missed their intention,
to keep the fast?
it's pretty, I mean, with intention, it's pretty much impossible not to make an intention. Yeah, I mean, what's an intention? Intention is not nawaitu sawm Ramadan, you have to verbalize it or articulate it. An intention is, if I were to stop you, Saad, and say, you're going to fast tomorrow, you'd immediately say, yes, I would. It's like something that's like you wouldn't even hesitate to answer. So if someone were to ask you, what are you doing tomorrow in fasting, you've already got the intention. If I was to ask you, Saad, what are you doing tomorrow, and you're hesitating stuff, then you don't have a resolute intention. But we assume that when the month of Ramadan is coming in, most people have a resolute intention to fast the month of Ramadan. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just that the word muta'ayyin, I think they use.
Sorry?
The word muta'ayyin, I think they use it in the books of fiqh where it has to be specifically, not kind of articulated that you're keeping a fast.
Yeah.
But then again, there's the opinion.
It's like, for example, if I said to you guys now, we're going to go pray Dhuhr. Yeah, you don't have to, I am going to pray Dhuhr. You know, you basically, the fact that you're getting up shows me you've got an intention to pray Fajr. It's not that you have to, pray Dhuhr. It's not that you have to have something resolute in your mind, articulated. Yeah. People do that. I'm not putting that down that people do that. That's just to give a bit more mindfulness and focus in your practice, but it's not a prerequisite. Is that clear? Yeah.